Thank you for inviting me. So first about my person, I'm a geologist and my subject is the tectonics of plate boundaries and mountain ranges. So I'm not a climate scientist at all, but I have started teaching about climate crisis in 2018 because I felt that our students in the geosciences curriculum should know what's going on. And so I'm doing this since then. We have a public lecture as well during semesters, Aspekte der Klimakrise. And I have become activist with Extinction Rebellion, Scientist Rebellion, and Letzte Generation. So my life has changed quite a lot in the last few years. And if you had shown me this picture 5 years ago, I would have said, this is not me. This guy in the middle, it's absolutely impossible that this is me. This guy looks a lot like me, but this is not me. Because so I was always an unpolitical person. And I was not even demonstrating against nuclear power and all this stuff. So I was really unpolitical. And now I somehow I ended up in the middle of this rebellion. I'm 65 years old, so retiring this year. I have 3 children and 3 grandchildren. So this is the outline of my talk. 6 theses. We are on the brink of climate and civilization collapse. We have known for decades fossil fuel industry and consumerist society together prevent decarbonization. Climate failure is a clear and deadly injustice. Our political system is unable to solve the problem without massive pressure from the civil society, and civil disobedience against the injustice of climate failure is legitimate and mandatory. So first, point 1, we are on the brink of climate and civilization collapse. You probably know all this. So only shortly, these are curves for the daily surface air temperature worldwide average. For every curve is for 1 year from 1st of January till end of December, and this is temperature. Every curve is 1 year. All the gray curves are the years from 1940 to 2022. We have a maximum in the summer and minimum in the northern hemisphere winter, because most of the land masses are on the northern hemisphere. And land masses are more heating up than ocean. So we get this maximum from the northern hemisphere land masses. And what we see is 2023 until May, this was in the normal range, and then in June, the temperatures exceeded everything previous, and since June, every month has been the warmest month since measurements started. So June 23 was the hottest on record, EU climate body finds. Juli 2023 war offiziell der wärmste je gemessene Monat, weltweit wärmster August. September 23, warmest on record by a large margin. EU-Klimadienst registriert wärmsten Oktober seit Beginn der Aufzeichnungen. Another month on a warming planet, record hopped November. Weltweit wärmster Dezember. This is here, December. And now we are, 2024 is here. Erde erlebt wärmsten je gemessenen Januar. This was the warmest January ever measured, and February will be extraordinary. You see, February is way above earlier years. And so this was the the surface temperature over land and ocean in 2 meters height. This is only sea surface temperature. Sea surface temperatures, gray lines are from 1981 to 2022, all these gray lines. And the yellow line or orange line is again 2023. And this began already in March to run away and has been way above the other years ever since. And this is now January and February 2024. So this is really impressive, I would say. The Earth is warming in an accelerated way. These are global temperatures relative to the 1880 to 1920 zero line from the NASA GIS analysis. You all know this curve. Every dot is a year. And since 1970, we have a relatively linear rise of temperatures, and this is approximated by the green line. This is the best linear fit for 1970 to 2010. And this here, the dashed green line is the prolongation of this linear trend. And we see that since 2016, the years are either on this trend line or above. Particularly 2023 is a large distance above this line. So this is either a coincidence of many, many weird little things, or it just means that the warming is accelerating. And since 2015. And the reason why the warming is accelerating is probably the energy imbalance of the Earth. Earth energy imbalance. And this is the difference between incoming radiation, the energy that the Earth receives, minus outgoing radiation, the energy that the Earth loses. And if incoming radiation is larger than outgoing radiation, then we have a positive imbalance and the system is heating up, and vice versa. And this energy imbalance has doubled approximately since measurements began in 2000. This is the CERES satellite program of NASA. And this you have large fluctuations, but a quite clear upward trend. And so the Earth's energy imbalance is increasing since 2000. And this is mainly due to a decrease in reflected sunlight, in sunlight reflected by the Earth. So the Earth is reflecting less sunlight, which means that the absorbed sunlight, the absorbed energy increases. And This is shown here, also from the Ceres mission. This graph is the global absorbed solar radiation anomaly with respect to a zero line for the first 3 years of the data. And so this increase is of about a similar, this increase, which is a decrease of reflection, is about the similar magnitude as the increase of the Earth's energy imbalance. So most of this is due to albedo loss. And this albedo loss, again, the decrease in reflected sunlight, is mainly due to feedbacks of global warming. Less ice, less snow, less clouds at low latitudes. For example, ice, sea ice, these are curves also always for 1 year from the climate reanalyzer. And these curves show the areal extent of the Antarctic sea ice, the sea ice around Antarctica. And 2023 is this line, this dashed black line, and this was way below the other years. So we have deficit of sea ice and large deficit for a long time. And the sea ice reflects 85% of the sunlight, whereas blue ocean reflects only 7% of the sunlight. So this means that Earth system climate system is taking up a lot more energy when the ice is gone. And so this is one part. And the bad news is that these things with albedo loss, this is nothing we can control. So this is a feedback. We have pushed global temperatures up with our CO2 emissions, and now things happen which are out of our control. And we do not know if climate chaos and civilization breakdown can still be prevented, but I think we should at least try. And now the second part, we have known for decades, not you, because most of you are young, but I've known for decades and done nothing most of the time. This is from the ARD, German television Tagesschau, from a time when there were only 2 television stations in Germany. So everybody was watching this Tagesschau. And this is about the first World Climate Conference in Geneva in 1979. And here, this is from this Tagesschau Beitrag, Tagesschau News. The growing carbon dioxide content of the air is leading to an undesirable warming of the atmosphere. The consequences are explained by Professor Flohn from Bonn. This is Professor Hermann Flohn, who gave a much noticed lecture on the climate of the future. A complete disappearance of the Arctic sea ice would lead to a shift in the climate belts of the Northern Hemisphere by around 500 to 800 kilometers to the north. One of the most important consequences would be a much drier climate in the entire Mediterranean belt, which would also spread to southern Central Europe. The consequences for water supply and harvesting would then be immense. This is what Professor Flohn said. He was the founder of the Meteorology Institute of Universität Bonn. And all this has come true, and we can now watch it live and in color. This is February 3rd. The Catalonia declared water emergency. Barcelona, now the water emergency in Barcelona, because these reservoirs are falling dry, and they have a severe drought now for 3 years. And This is the drought monitor of the Spanish Meteorological Survey, and this is the east mostly. Rain comes in from the west, but doesn't reach the east. And of course, as you all know, since this World Climate Conference, CO2 emissions have going up and up and up, and they reached their maximum last year in 2023. So the fossil fuel industry and the consumerist society together prevent decarbonization. So many people say, oh, it's all the fossil fuel industry. These are the criminals. This is correct. Fossil fuel industry, these are criminals. But this society is also in the boat. It's not the fossil fuel industry could not do it by itself, could not do it alone. The consumerist society is also in the rich industrialized countries, of course, is also guilty. And the problem is that fossil fuels are the perfect source of income. This is Abu Dhabi, shining skyscrapers in Abu Dhabi. So, and this is all from oil. It's all from oil. And why are fossil fuels so great for making money? Because you steadily need, if you have a car with a consumption engine, you need fuel for every kilometer from the first day until the last day. But if you, for example, if you buy a photovoltaic for your roof, then you pay only one time. You pay for this, and the company earns only one time. And then you have your own electricity, and nobody gets money from it. So therefore, fossil fuel companies hate renewable energies. And this is the only threat for their business, renewable energies, because the sun is shining for free and the wind is blowing for free. The value of fossil investments depends to 100% on climate failure, depends on the inability of our governments to make a transformation away from fossil fuels. And just one little example. This is Frank Luntz, a policy advisor for the Republican Party in the USA. And he wrote in 2002, he wrote a memorandum for President George W. Bush by the cynical name, The Environment, a Cleaner, Safer, Healthier America, which is like a joke. And in this memorandum, he wrote, there is still a window of opportunity to challenge the science. There's still a window of opportunity. Therefore, you, which is the president, need to continue to make the lack of scientific certainty a primary issue in the debate. And this is what Bush and Trump and all these guys have done. Yeah, the science is not really exact. Science is uncertain, so we don't know, and we should not make premature measures. And this is an example from Germany. Two guys in 2012 wrote a book by the name Die kalte Sonne, the cold sun. And in this book, they wrote that the CO2 is not the cause for this climate warming. And the warming will stop. The warming will stop soon. And CO2 is not the cause, but the sun. And this book was accompanied by a campaign by Bild, German boulevard newspaper. And this campaign was called Die CO2-Lüge, the CO2 lie. And they say that a renowned team of researchers claims, and so on, a renowned team of researchers. And this renowned team of researchers, these were exactly two managers of RWE, of the brown coal company. Zwei RWE-Manager. They wrote this book. And this is total crime, and it's a crime of planetary scale. And it fell on a fertile ground. These lies fell on a fertile ground because we prefer a reassuring lie over an inconvenient truth. So nobody wants to see this movie, An Inconvenient Truth. They all want to see the reassuring lie. And now the consumerist society in Germany. This is just two Tagesschau news from the last year. Rekordzahl an Flügen trotz steigender Preise. So the flights, the number of flights was at a record level in 2023 in Germany, although the prices go up, doesn't matter, and worldwide as well. So 2023 was the year of flying, and also the year of gas heatings. Rekordjahr bei Gasheizungen. And this is because we'll have a new heating law from next year that new heatings should not be gas heatings or oil or coal. And therefore, people have bought new gas heatings in 2023 because next year it becomes difficult. And they, until end of October, 1.1 million gas heatings, new gas heatings were sold. So this is 1.1 million gas heatings. This is a guarantee for gas until 20, 30 years, because this is incredible. It's incredible. Of course, we will not have hydrogen to run them. Of course, and they are not hydrogen ready. So it's all gas forever. So, and this is our society. Climate failure is a clear and deadly injustice. And this has three components. First is climate injustice between regions. You know this better than I. This is the vulnerability. Green is not so vulnerable. Red is highly vulnerable. And this is South Asia, mainly Africa, parts of Southern America, and here Indonesia. So these are the most vulnerable by the climate crisis. And these are territorial emissions for 2018. And this is the negative of this map. So the bad countries are the least vulnerable. And in blue, these are the countries that emit little or almost no CO2. They are the most vulnerable. And here, Germany in 2022, Germany emitted 8.16 tons of CO2 per person, 8 tons. Somalia, which is one of the most vulnerable countries, 0.06 tons. It's almost incredible. But this is from the EDGAR database. So this is the numbers that I get from this database. These are 60 kilos CO2 per person per year. Entire Africa, 1 ton. And the world average is 4.8 tons. So Germany is almost double the world average. And this difference, nobody can justify this difference. Why do we emit so much more than the world average? Because we are a rich country. We would have been able to decarbonize. So this is this climate injustice between regions, and then the climate injustice between rich and poor. Here is on this scale is the world population arranged by income. And these are the richest 10%, and these are the poorer 50% of the world population. And this champagne glass here, this is the emissions, CO2 emissions from lifestyle and consumption. And we see that the richest 10% emit almost half of the total emissions. And the poorer 50% are responsible for only about 10% of the total emissions. So this is from the Oxfam study that you probably know. So the rich destroy the climate. And this is Elon Musk. He's so rich that he has his own space program. And then the third component is the climate injustice between generations. Between the generation that is now making the decisions, this is our chancellor together with the Prince of Saudi Arabia making some fossil fuel deal, the present day deciders and the future victims, the young generation. So climate failure is a clear injustice. And our political system is unable to solve the problem without massive pressure from the civil society. But as it is at the moment, it is unable. It has proven to be unable. Because politicians refuse to tell the truth. I mean, 2023 it was really bad for in terms of temperatures and in terms of climate catastrophes. 7,000 people killed in one flood in Libya, at least 7,000, and this the chancellor during the New Year's speech, he did not say a word about this. So it was just not mentioned, And there is no majority for serious climate protection, and there will be no majority. This is the election trend from a few days ago. And the only party that is somehow willing to make to protect or is willing to protect the climate is the Green Party, and they have 13% of the votes, and all the rest 13%. So there will not be a majority. And then no sign that this will change in the future. Here, this is the Friedrich Merz from the party that is this is most popular at the moment, and he says Klimaschutz wird in Politik überbewertet. Climate protection is exaggerated, is overrated. He thinks that we should have less climate protection. And so governments worldwide plan to increase the oil and gas production until at least 2050. This is we should go to zero until at the latest 2050, but they want to increase the production. This is coal. This is from the production gap report from last autumn from the Stockholm Institute and the United Nations Environmental Program. And this is about coal, oil, gas. And these are the government plans and projections, the red line. This is what the governments are planning and what this study is projecting. And coal is to summit in 2030 and then go down, but oil is on a plateau and rising until 2050, at least 2050, and gas. So this is the global death plan. And Germany is a small player. Germany is really a small player, but what did I see? So 2 days ago, ExxonMobil starts 2 big new oil drillings in Germany. And this article says that the black gold, seit 81 Jahren wird das schwarze Gold gefördert. They call it black gold. This stuff that will kill our children. They call it the black gold. So now about scientists. All the traditional scientists' attempts to influence climate politics, conferences, expert councils, reports, hearings, talks, and warnings, all these have proven futile. They just don't work because the lobby is too strong. The World Climate Conferences are part of the problem, not of the solution. This is the climate inactivity curve. It's basically the Keeling curve with a little bit different style. Keeling curve, the warming stripes, and the climate conferences and Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement. So all these climate conferences and accords and agreements, they did not stop CO2 from rising. And I have shown this as well, the emissions increase. So this all has not helped. To believe that this will magically change in the near future is naive and unscientific. If we think, if we make a little bit better talks and speeches, and if we discuss a little bit better at the next climate conference, then it will change. This is total bullshit. I have to say, it's total bullshit. It doesn't work, it did never work, and it will never work. So therefore, civil disobedience against the injustice of climate failure is legitimate and mandatory. So what does civil disobedience by scientists mean in the climate crisis? Why are we doing this? Why is it meaningful? And I think it is a possibility to raise additional public awareness because scientists have additional credibility. So people think that scientists or professors, in my case, know what they are talking about. So therefore, like if young people from the Letzte Generation are sitting on the street, it's easy to say, yeah, these are children, they are stupid. But if scientists join them, this gives additional credibility. So this gives some hope that it will be more, that this movement will be supported. But also the other thing for me is that civil disobedience is an act of resistance against a system that is killing people in the global south now and will be killing more people here in the near future. So for me, this is a moral choice. It's a moral choice, irrespective of the chances of success, whether this strategy is good or not so good, whether we will have success or not, for me is not really, okay, it is counting, but it's not what determines my choice. I do this because I am against this deadly system. And so therefore I make an act of resistance. Everybody hates you. This is what people tell me about Letzte Generation and street blockades. Everybody hates you. Stop it. Everybody hates you. So this raises the question if civil disobedience needs to be popular. And this is a misunderstanding. People think that this is a movement of civil disobedience has to be popular to be successful. And this is not the case. Civil disobedience is disturbing and is unpopular. It must be unpopular. This is an opinion poll from 1961 during the American civil rights movement's sit-ins and freedom rides. So the sit-ins, Black people were sitting in restaurants that were only for white people. Black people were riding in buses that were only for white people. And this was against the law. And these are results of a USA-wide opinion poll. Do you approve or disapprove of what the freedom riders are doing? Only 22% were approving and 61% were disapproving. No, we don't like what they do. Martin Luther King was the most hated person in the US at this time. And then, do you think that sit-ins and freedom buses and other demonstrations by Black people will hurt or help the Black people's chances of being integrated in the South? And there again, most people thought that this would hurt the integration. This would hurt. This would be against the goal. And only 28% thought that it will help. So this is very similar for Letzte Generation. One almost last thing, the A12 blockades by Extinction Rebellion in The Hague in the Netherlands. And they blocked a highway in front of the parliament in The Hague with the demand to end the subsidies for fossil fuels. And these subsidies in Netherlands amount to 40 to 45 billion euros per year. And the demand was stop the fossil fuel subsidies. And this started in July 6, 2022 and ended in October 5, 2023. And from September to October, it was in 2023, there was a blockade every day. And on September 9, there were 10,000 to 25,000 people on this road. And 2,400 were arrested. So this was really big. And then at some point, the police got tired of going there every day and getting these people from the street. And it was very nice weather, so the water throwers did not do much harm. They were welcome. And so it went on. And on the 5th of October, there was a motion in the parliament, and this was approved, it passed. And the government was called to make a plan to phase out fossil fuel subsidies. So these blockades were successful. It worked out. And this Letzte Generation, these are very intelligent young people. I know many of them, and they are thinking what they're doing. They are not stupid, and they have modified their strategy. as you may have heard. So the time of street gluing is over, which I regret a little bit. But it's probably reasonable. There, and the new strategy is disobedient gatherings. This is something like this blockades in the Netherlands. And we had a few of these, already 3 in Berlin. Letzte Generation und Co. Co is Scientist Rebellion, for example, legen Verkehr mit Massenbesetzung in Berlin lahm. So these are with several hundred participants. So legal consequences are not such a problem because they have so many court cases in Berlin. They don't want any more court cases. They are every 3rd court case in Berlin is a climate protest case now. So they are fed up. They don't want more of this. And so therefore it's more a thing for getting many people in. Disobedient gatherings, the first here in Cologne will be March 16, I think. And event crashing. So we did some event crashing a few weeks ago in Cologne, where Mona Neubauer, the Minister for Economy and Climate Protection, gave a lecture in the university, and we interrupted this, reminding her of Lützerath. Lützerath wurde sinnlos zerstört, Frau Neubauer, and one of us gave a speech. And so this is event crashing, and this is now taking place more often. Like Lindner was interrupted last week by young people from the Letzte Generation, and then they run for the 2024 European, or they want to run for the 2024 European elections. They want to bring disruption into the European Parliament. This is also part of the new strategy. And for this, we are collecting signatures at the moment. So if you want to have the voice of the Letzte Generation in the European Parliament, you should sign in the next week, until end of next week, I think, because 50,000 signatures are needed, and I have the forms here. So if you want to sign afterwards, yeah. Yes, or you go to this here, this QR code, and then that's it. Thank you for your attention, and this is the email address for Germany for Scientist Rebellion, if you want to get into contact. Thank you for your attention.